So, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders would like to welcome founder and CEO of Mining Grid, Rami Alsridi. So, welcome, Rami. Great to have you.
Thank you, Karen, and welcome everyone. Thank you for inviting me for this talk. I'm really excited to be with you today.
So, Rami, I'd like to congratulate you on all your achievements. Can you share with us how your entrepreneurial journey started and what led you to get into the crypto space?
Yeah, definitely. I will start with quick background, about myself.
Yes.
I graduated, I finished my computer engineering, back in 2002 in Jordan, and after that, I started my tech and IT career for almost 20 years now. And during this journey, I really learned a lot from these companies and, from advanced technologies they offer, and also I have always passion, for solution for people, how to give access to people to the financial market, technology market, and other benefits. So this is in a nutshell, like how my career started, in technology.
Yes.
And back to how this project started, is also like having this knowledge about the crypto market, knowledge about IT, about security system and cryptography, which is the core system of, the digital assets.
Amazing. So prior to you getting into the crypto space, with 16 years of exceptional experience in sales and management within the tech and security industry, do you believe that this gave you an advantage within the crypto space? And if so, what do you believe makes you different from other competitors within the space?
Yeah, sure. Let me tell you the journey about how we started. Back in 2016, I remember, one of our clients in the corporate of one of the companies we work with, they've been attacked by ransomware. And, they ask our help, as security experts, to come and jump in and see what's happening. So we figured out like, the ransomware, they ask for payment in Bitcoin. Then the Bitcoin came, to the pictures. Then
Yes,
we dig down not to the problem, but what to the design, because if someone asks for, a payment in crypto or Bitcoin that time, we studied the Bitcoin ecosystem and we wanted to see how this decentralized system, which is fully transparent, fully decentralized, and irreversible system works,
yes.
and then from there it was just the beginning of that entry. So how the cybersecurity definitely it helped even to open the door, and think about, what is the Bitcoin and decentralized system. But there is many other edge. Myself and a couple of team members, the seniors like CTO and others, they are also from cybersecurity background. Understanding the need of cybersecurity, which gives more security to people, more trust, to people, and also having what is the how the cybersecurity cryptography works, encryption, decryption to secure the people,
Mm.
which has to focus
So,
more on trust and security aspect.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just had a question on that. So obviously there's been like a huge amount of scams, like, around some of these things.
Mm.
So, I mean, how does, I know even because my parents or my dad's had experience with these types of things, and there's so many of these scams out there.
Mm.
So, I mean, how do you guys manage that? Because so often it's fine to say, okay, we're giving control to the people, but when something goes wrong, then who do they go to? Like, you know what I mean? Because there doesn't seem to be a human connection between, I'm not saying with your things, but I'm just saying that there is a lot of confusion around it. So I'm just curious to know how people manage that, or how do you manage that?
Yeah, definitely. So let's both define and agree what is, when we say that people have been scammed or have been, they had bad experience in Web3 domains, which involve cryptocurrency and blockchain. So let's
Yes.
back and see what is this story, So I will tell you the story that this trend happened, and many founders enter this space, people, I can say tech people or, innovators who wanted to build models, back in 2017, 18, 19, where we had ICO season. And from that day, many other companies, they enter. there is a wrong perception from people because when they hear about cryptocurrency, they don't really validate, what is the project behind it.
Yes, of
So
course.
many people, many of these projects, they were not scam, their nature, they don't want to fraud or scam people. But
Yeah.
I can say that many of projects failed because either, bad team or, maybe wrong timing or, money, they didn't study the regulation, market requirement, and some others. From user perspective, when they invested in these projects, and from user that if I don't get my money back or the wrong messages in the market, like you invest and you get 5x and 10x in any of the projects, and we saw, 10 like thousands of projects coming every year, then the user perception, if he doesn't get his money back because he didn't understand the risk associated to this investment, then this project becomes scam.
Yes.
But the third category, which is the scammers, which is our projects, it's not related only to crypto or only to Web3 project. We get scams, trying to steal our bank's login details, credential. We are getting scams from our telecom companies, like they want to scam our telecom accounts. We get scammed by SMS to our social media accounts. So scammers are there in all industry,
Yeah,
not
big
to
time.
this industry.
We see even
Yeah,
even with
so
PayPal, you see it with all these platforms. It's crazy.
yeah.
So,
Exactly. And in this industry, they put small bait, which is you can be rich overnight or you can make money very quickly and you can, build your future from only investing certain amount, starting low. And here it becomes the tricks because most of these companies, they don't understand the risk or regulation or they don't understand and they ignore it. But for people, it's very easy entry. They take cryptocurrency all as, a potential is a huge potential, but we see this ratio is becoming less and less because the people awareness becoming much better now, and they understand at least how to screen the projects, how to understand is that legit or not. And many of this project failed because they issued their cryptocurrency, and we end up having maybe 30, 40,000 different cryptocurrency in the world, and everyone have an idea, try to convert it there. So that's the second reason why I see also many people they had bad experience because they followed, this unverified project many times, or a lot of them in some region, and they had the hope that they will make higher return. But we see that this filtering these projects and people awareness really reducing the scam nature over time.
amazing. So, what would you say within your career have been your biggest lessons, or, and I'm sure you've probably had multiple, but what would you say stands out for you the most in terms of, one of your biggest lessons?
Yeah, the biggest lessons is I would say two most important. First one is simplicity is the most complex thing to make simplicity for people.
Yes.
That you know the lesson that whatever solution you think is work or great for the market, maybe it brings a huge value, but if it's complex and people they don't understand it quickly, then the whole business, especially retail focused businesses, they fail. So this is the major one. The second one, consistency. So whatever you do, you have to be consistent, and most of the people when they build new businesses, they will have good days and bad days. What
Mm,
differentiates is when you go forward in bad days, not in good days, and when you have right team to push with you. Consistency is not about one person, is when you have a good team who believes, and they want to reach a goal, despite the challenges, especially in this industry, because as you said, there is a lot of waves, maybe, scammers or maybe, unverified businesses. Maybe there is a lot of also new regulation come, uncertainty of regulation brings a huge wave, and also challenges in different infrastructure of the business because it's new. Uh, if you put these two together, they were the biggest lessons, we learned in the past 6, 7 years in this industry.
yeah, no, absolutely. So, as an alumna of Dale Carnegie Institute and computer engineering graduate from Jordan, which is very impressive, do you believe that this gave you an advantage and helped you within your career?
Yes. So first, the first one I will take, there is everything in business, there is people, always we say, there is people, technology, and process.
Yes.
And understanding people and how to deal, with emotional intelligence, this is something really, added a lot of value for Dell Carnegie, courses where I try to know more in communication skills, understanding, people thoughts, and that's a crucial part of the business. Back to the, being computer engineer, it's more like 22 years ago. We've been in a course which is, distributed systems, which explain how Bitcoin works before the Bitcoin starts. How you can distribute resources among multiple computers, and use that resources in a combined use case. So that concept was there, and we were familiar with it before. And I think Bitcoin was the first use case, which comes to life, using the distributed system and the decentralized power among, all computational power worldwide. So that knowledge, definitely add an edge, when it comes to what we do today.
Yes. So what happens to the digitalization of these systems if they crash, or where do individuals go when things go wrong? These are obviously very legitimate concerns. So can you share with us what safeguards there are in place to protect people, especially if things ultimately become decentralized? Because I think there is a big concern with people that if we ultimately end up going to cashless societies, that we'll end up being controlled by systems, and where our spending and all of these types of things. And we've seen it, like when every now, I think there's been maybe two or three occasions, let's say, where Facebook has gone down. I mean, not that that's a financial um platform, but the issue is we become so dependent on these digital, systems, that what are the safeguards that are put in place if these systems crash? So I'm just curious from your perspective.
Yeah, yeah, that's very important point. I would like to just to start saying about the technology all cryptocurrency use in the world, use called blockchain.
Yes.
And blockchain by design is made to solve this problem, because you don't rely on a system to be up in certain country or certain business or certain corporate, it's
Yes.
distributed ledger, and that's reduce the risk, and it have very high redundancy by design, where even if some instant, if you take blockchain and Bitcoin, for example, you will see how many nodes distributed in the world, and there are thousands of nodes. If one node is down, then the other node is up, then you can have access to it. So blockchain
Okay.
resilient by design to solve this problem. And that's why you call it decentralized, because if you look at other centralized solutions, let's say I will give you an example. If you have money in a certain bank
Mm.
and the bank system with their backups goes offline, then you don't have access to your fund. And
Yeah.
Bitcoin is exactly the opposite. Even if 10 of the nodes or major mining companies where they run the nodes, they are down, still you have access to your fund because it's decentralized nodes. But at the same time, I would say if you go to the extreme case, which is risk everyone need to take, that if there is no electricity, and this is, there is a story in our community, someone, from our leaders and team who always says this, because yeah, the people ask, if there is no electricity, what shall I do? How can I access my Bitcoin? And we say that
Yeah.
if there's no electricity, your should not be how to access your Bitcoin. It should be much bigger, because it's a dark, you don't access nothing, you can't communicate with no one. So the if you go extreme on the risk on this side, if there is no internet or no electricity, you don't have access to your fund. But that applies to the cash systems and bank system as well. If there is no internet and no, also you don't have access to your fund, then it becomes you having, either physical assets like gold or whatever stored, or you have a cash, in your system. But even though if you want to use the cash, you cannot move it, and people they cannot accept it. So the problem is not exactly only on a cryptocurrency and blockchain, but this extreme risk. If it happens, it impacts the system. Yes, because you cannot run mining, you cannot validate transaction, you cannot have Bitcoin online.
No, absolutely. So that leads me to the next question of what happens to the older generations in this world who have no access and are not capable of adapting to these changes. Because I think that there is a deep concern around, people in their 80s or their 90s that, if these systems do change to such a degree, how are these people, who are technically challenged, let alone physically and mentally challenged, how is, how is this going to help, what kind of solutions do you have, if any, for these generational gaps?
Yeah. That's a very interesting point as well. I will tell you the transformation we call, the transformation, how we use our currency and which currency we use standard one, traditional one, or we use cryptocurrency. This is a transformation journey. It will never happen overnight. So I will tell you, like rough figures, there is around 130 trillion, which is the cash and cash equivalent money in the market. And on the other side, if you see the total market cap of crypto, it's around 3 trillion. So the cash and cash equivalent is much bigger than the total market cap of digital assets today. Not digital asset, they say digital currencies. So there is a transformation journey where we see today the adoption is less than 1 out of 1,000, in terms of market cap, and in terms of adoption of transactions. So if every 1,000 transaction per day we have in normal money and traditional cards with the banks, against that, we have one transaction on Bitcoin. So what we expect that this ratio will move because the younger generation and innovators are doing their awareness, to do this shift. So I don't expect, elder people to start in that journey, but they will follow on that adoption because it requires some self-custody of your private keys to hold your money, so your money is not held by anyone in the world. It's virtual and you are the only one having access to it. So it brings another factors. How can I secure it? How can I guarantee my access to it all the time? If I forget my credential or 12 words on wallet, how can I access it? And if something happened to me, how my family can get the access to it? So this is
Yes.
a huge potential, which we see a lot of innovators in Web3 now. They are developing a new solution, to solve that aspects. And no one company in the world can solve this because this is a whole industry. You'll see innovators in each layer, where there is really demand to increase the adoption and to double it or triple it in the near future. We need to give these answers. So from our perspective and business model, we do definitely awareness, how to increase this adoption. But definitely this requires a huge effort from people involved in Web3 to create a solution for long term and do the adoption for elder people. But I would like to mention a really good figure from our side. The average
Yes.
age when we start this project, and we release many research papers, that you see people below 22 years, they are majority of adopters, to cryptocurrency. Then,
Yes.
with elder age, you'll see the adoption drop. In our project, the average age is much higher, it becomes 40s, not even 20s. And we see that people, they would love to have access. Even elder people, they would love to have it. Their problem that they want simpler solution and they want trusted solution. So if you solve this too, which is not easy to solve, but if you address these 2 points, then you will see more elder adoption, in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
Amazing. So you and your team recently attended the Bitcoin 2025 conference in Las Vegas last month. So can you tell us how the show went, and the impact or the impact your brand had on this huge event?
Yes, we were one of the sponsors. It is actually the biggest ever conference on earth. So this was the biggest version where, Bitcoiner, pro Bitcoin, and Bitcoin suppliers and, Bitcoin industry gathered. So it was, from experience point of view, it was really great. It has a good impact on our brand, even though we don't operate in US, but we have operations, and mining farms running in US. So it was good to connect with innovators, hear the roadmaps they have in Bitcoin, and also see how we can align our strategy to the global strategy or US strategy. So this is first part. The second one, which was really interesting as well, to see Bitcoin is international, and you see the adoption of Bitcoin in all countries of the world. Even though there is concentration in US in the past 3, 4 months and even before, uh, we see that people in US, they think that most of the holders are in US, but if you look at mining operation of Bitcoin is 40% as latest figures are running in US and 60% global. So there's a lot of operations, in many countries across Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia, like they already involved big time in Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin holding, and it was good part of the conference that also because most of our clients based in Europe, Middle East, and Asia, so it was good to also shed a light in the panel and in other discussion we had, that there is a huge operation in the world, and also we need to see, the other world what they want, in the future of decentralization. And it was really positive because Bitcoin is made that should be distributed among all countries and should be for people, not for corporation as well.
If you could tell us the benefits for the technology and tell us more about your technology and the benefits for the users.
The benefit of the user is they come to one shop, one place where they have access to multiple things. They create their, non-custodial wallet. So the benefit of technology to simplify the journey and access to the Bitcoin mining industry. Normally, you need to have a knowledge, you need to have your own devices, you need to supply electricity, hosting, you know how to configure it. There are many steps involved. The benefit of technology to shortcut all of that and give you the access to Bitcoin mining in very simple and easy way, and that's not easy in the back end, that requires multiple integration, between contractor managing the operations, then, delivering the outcome and give the outcome to people. Here comes the consumers and retail clients. They don't care how it works. They care how can I access it, even if I run Bitcoin mining for first time, I want to know how many Bitcoin I will mine and how much I need to pay.
Yes.
Then after I start my journey, I start learning more. So this is what we focus, and this is the benefit of all technology we build, to bridge that gap and make it much simpler for users.
Yes. So how is your company and the technology a new sound solution in a space that has been questionable for in many terms of its legitimacy? So just in terms of your own company.
Is Yeah, that's very, very good question. And it's a very common question, by the way, for us. Because when we come from also this industry, and before we start mining grid, we had an experience, across IT, across Web3 solutions, tokenization, and multiple other aspects.
Yes.
A whole founding team. So what we did, we looked at what is not really working, and we saw that what is the mistakes other company and we did in the past. We wanted to avoid all of that, and we wanted to, package a really good solution for people. And I will give you a couple of examples. So first one, we said simplified journey, and giving outcome to people. Second one is a security and transparency of the application. We try to keep that level high, so
Yes.
people, they need to trust the system. Third one, we thought of a business, which is mining grid, which does not have product, by the way. What we have is application, and the ultimate product people they receive is Bitcoin. And people, they have to trust the Bitcoin, and then they have to trust mining grid as a bridge to give them access to that mining. And what we focus here, that we wanted people to have access to their fund all the time. So we don't want to hold the Bitcoin mined for people. We want to give people accessibility for everything very quick. Then that reduce the risk of the business. And if you see the nature of most of other businesses, not in mining, but in cryptocurrency, they work in holding that assets, either is by investing tokens or by putting very long-term plans for people. So we solve this by making the bridge much easier. Then we put the transparency, security, as I told you, simplicity. And the last one, we try to make the operations, very transparent from term of holding, and we allow people always to withdraw their mind outcomes, all the time through addresses, and that's also give, less risk on operations. And what I can say really stand out for us is all technology we build in-house, so you don't depend on third parties, because we saw most of the, third-party risk associated to the operation. And this was major failure point for many projects before. So all technology we use internal for tracking power and tracking mining, for our wallet application, non-custodial wallet, all built by our technology team. So we have edge on technology as well that we rely only in our in-house developed softwares, and we don't subcontract, or give access to the information to any third party so far.
No, that's amazing. Then that's such a critical component too. So do you really think our world will be all digital soon in terms of currencies? What's your viewpoint on that?
Yeah, it is, the what I believe is definitely we have to, but will we transfer to or transform to digital form soon? No, but the adoption will increase. So we will reach to that point. Maybe today, as I told you, if you take the ratio, it's less than 1%. If you increase the adoption to 50-50, that's a huge win for the industry. But you cannot, what I believe, you cannot take out the traditional, financial system, including, the way we deal with banks and the way we deal with our cash money or bank accounts or cards. That
Yes.
will stay for a longer time. But what we see the future is that user have a choice. I want to use this system or I want to use this system.
Yes.
When we get
At
the
least it gives
choices,
you options, right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
So that leads me to the final question. What advice do you have for users in your space who are skeptical about getting involved in Bitcoin or the crypto space? And what legacy would you like to leave? Or how would you like to be
Yeah.
remembered?
Yeah, if you look at adoption chart, there is always start with innovators, then we'll go with early stage, then it goes to early majority. What I say in Bitcoin, we are always now we cross the innovators and we are in early stage. And definitely when majority comes, some people follows. So you will see people now, they are in the system, they are not skeptical, they are the one who wanted to see the advantages and they did already participate in Bitcoin mining or Bitcoin.
Yes,
Skeptical people, they try to understand, but they will follow after the majority people follow, then they will see the late majority comes, then the skeptical. So take this from other aspect that what we need to do is just give information, awareness, and solution to these people. They have always, the freedom to make their choice. And there is famous quote I would like just to highlight from, the creator of Bitcoin and blockchain, Satoshi. He says that everyone buys Bitcoin at the price they deserve. And this is we always say it. So if you deserve to be early adopter, then maybe you got it at 3K. If you are in early stage, maybe you buy it now 70K. And there is a lot of talks from industry leaders. They say the luckiest people who get the Bitcoin, above 100K. I don't want to give any advice for people to do investment. This is not my intention, but for skeptical people, we always say in Bitcoin, you need to see. But unlike other technology, if you join internet when it starts, some people, they took 4 or 5 years or 10 years to have internet in their homes,
yeah,
similar to satellite. So every shift in technology, there is better early adopter than early majority. But the problem there that even if you are in a late majority and you are skeptical about it, there is cost for it. But in the internet, there is no cost for it. You can have
yes,
option to join after 4 years,
yeah,
but then you definitely pay less, because service will be cheaper. Unlike the decentralized and Bitcoin, because it's only 21 million, there is no luxury to wait, 4 years. Definitely, you get privilege and it will be on the first side. So this message is our job just to give to people and then give them the freedom to decide if they want to access it or not.
amazing. Well, thanks for joining us today. So, if people would like to connect with you, what are the best platforms to do so?
Yeah, so we do connection on our platform, and we really take care of community. So whoever download our application, Mining Race, they can enjoy the wallet feature, and there is support cases, and most of the support comes as ideas, so they can submit and reach me. If they want digital platform, I'm on LinkedIn only, so I don't use other social media. So that's where we can connect as well.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Rami, today, and hopefully we can have you back in the future to see where you are in your journey. And thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you, Karen, and looking forward, for more maybe sessions in future.
Yes, absolutely.